All right, people. This is for the people who just want to know this stuff. 10-minute podcast kind of thing, just about compressors and stuff related that is useful to know. I'll show every topic on the screen right here, but first one is attack and release settings. I did not say everything about them in the main video. If you went by what I said in the video, it should be like, okay, naturalness shouldn't. Why does it matter if it's above or below the line? They're the same thing. And it's not, because they have their own distinct sound. They do their own things also, but like developing the sound of what release and attack are takes a long time, and it's like really key, and it's a really pro level thing to do. It's indefinable. I can't really like give you examples, but you just kind of have to know it after a while, and you do know it if you've done it for a while. The attack time, especially for like drums or something, a drum will peak like this and dip off. So if you use the naturalness of the release, it would cut off that beginning part, for example, and just have it. But if you had the naturalness of the attack, that top of the hit would stay there, and it would maintain the naturalness for the rest of it. That's why they're different. They're just, so don't take it as simply. And that cheat sheet is super, super general with stuff, that I gave. So take that to heart, but that's basically it. Second part, these 3 tips, which are kind of related things. First one is a last 5th element to compressors that I didn't mention in the main video, because it could kind of get confusing and you don't really need to know. It's auto gain, makeup gain, sometimes it's called. And what that isn't really a effect. It's a volume knob that automatically returns the volume to the point you had it before the compressor. It's all that it is. And if you have makeup gain and you see this video and you're like, oh, compression lowers things, why is my compressor, when I turn the knobs, seems like it's increasing in volume? It's because of this makeup gain. It's that it automatically shoots it back up, so you're only getting the effect of the attack, release, and ratio settings, but you have the compression still happening. If you took makeup gain off, everything would get quieter, just like normal. Second thing is limiting. Limiting is 100% ratio. It's a compressor with a 100% ratio. That's what a limiter is. So if you ever want to know what a limiter is, it's just a compressor with infinity to 1 ratio. That's basically it. And limiters usually have a 0 attack time, so nothing comes above that line. And sometimes you'll be able to set the release time. But yeah, that's basically what a limiter is. And like that's all that it is. Some things needed to never go above a certain line. That's why they created it, for that reason. So that's what limiting is. And parallel compression is super, super cool. I used it a lot in the sound trap videos because it's an easy way to get things to sound loud. You basically don't need to know what a compressor sounds like to get a loud vocal and the effects of a good compressor if you use parallels. So it's a super cool tip when you're first starting out, because you keep the original signal and the paralleled, very compressed signal on top of each other and playing at the same time. So if you have like the original, it's 100% naturalness still, because you're getting the peaks and valleys of the original, but actually not the valleys, because the parallel compression is a super thick compressed blob that you're playing alongside it, and they all blend together. So you don't have to worry about attack and release settings. You could just put them all to 0. Sometimes they'll sound distorted, but you could keep them really, really low and still maintain a super loud vocal that's natural with parallel compression. Super, super cool. Last one is riding. I'll give a vocal example for this one. Riding is something I've talked about it in a bunch of videos before, but if you want to like really, really like put this vocal out to the world, then like listening to it in the riding ear is what you need to do. Riding is vocal automation of volume. So it's just volume automating, deciding like a volume knob where to increase and decrease the volume as you go on. So volume automation is all what riding is. But why it's so key is because anytime you're doing compressors, what are you doing? It's just a complex tool to change the volume of things. So why do you need to change the volume of things? Because you want things, this is all of mixing, by the way, like anything in mixing, is this concept. Getting things loud while still being dynamic. Dynamic makes things sound pro. Loud makes things sound pro. Bad mixes are squashed and have a bunch of drones all the time, and there's no dynamics. There's no silent and loud moments. There's no dynamics. So having a loud vocal when you're riding and compressing, you want high compression on the thing, but you want that dynamicness again. So take, for example, this word.
These fast.
She goes, fast. So there's 3 big volume things that you could hear in here. It's the first initial one, fat, and then ast is like the bottom one. And then the little T, that consonant at the bottom, is super, super low. You want the T, that one, and that one to both hit you because it's the word, and they're both important parts. But you want it to die off right after, and you don't need the little breaths in between, maybe. So controlling, I'd go in, and here's it after I compressed it and righted it.
Knees fast.
So you heard like all of them played, and the T at the end was there still. It still hit, which is super, super important. Like, that's what makes stuff sound crazy, because it sounds super unnatural to have that vocal like that's that pop sound a lot of the time, but it's there and you could hear it, especially in like low quality speakers. If we had the word fast and like the T is all the way down here, right? And the initial peak of the syllable is right here, which is normally how people talk. Then bringing this up, you'd have to compress the thing so far down and bring everything up so much that it would just be a mess if you try to get that with compressors only. So bringing that T up, that's what I did when I wrote it. I took that T up, and then I took this whole thing up slightly. And what that did was just like give everything an equal playing field for the compressor. So now the compressor is compressing things evenly. You're having an even signal going into a compressor, and then you get to like compress things like you actually hear them. Like compress the main vocal with everything there, basically. Any little thing, people DS a lot with writing, so people will take all the S's and duck them. You could DS with automated plugins if you can have them, but that's also a very good thing. So going into all the S's is super cool too. But that's basically a big part in making stuff sound pro is the writing of it. Those are things that you needed to know along with compressors. The last main thing that isn't on this list is practice and time, because while you clicked on the first video because you wanted a compressor tutorial in 2 minutes, the video is not titled how to use compressors like you should. I don't know. It's the video isn't about like making sure you're an expert with compressors. Like, you could learn how to use a drill in 2 minutes, but like you don't know how to like do stuff like people. You could learn how to like cut a piece of wood in 2 minutes, but you can't like make a table out of wood in 2 minutes. You know, like that stuff is what takes practice and time to learn. So that's basically it, guys. Check out these other videos. I'm leaving all of these longer videos in like their own playlist, so you could watch these if you want just the info back to back, and all the 2-minute ones for different concepts to touch on are up in there too. Follow me on Instagram, and I'm posting TikTok videos I think now and all that stuff. By the way, I'm doing mixes until the end of 2020 for $50. And that's crazy. That's like 5 times lower than my normal rate, but it's the holiday season or whatever. I'm getting a ton of those. But yeah, it's cool to see you guys and to maybe get a mix for me someday without the crazy high normal rate that I'm going to be charging afterwards. So for a short time, if you're here before December 31st, 2020, then come get a mix in the Instagram DMs. Hit me up for $50. So, all right, guys, see you in the next one. Peace.